indigent help. How are you this morning, ma'am?
I'm making it, gentlemen. How about yourselves? Okay. So pretty much everything on my actual budget is normal. Let's see here. Let's see where we'll get changes. Dues and memberships, I did ask to go up just slightly because they haven't gone up in years and I'm just anticipating that they're going to slightly. So I did ask for a small increase there. Training and mileage I actually left the same. That one, there is currently still roughly about $2,000 left in that budget. If I go ahead and do the same conference I did last year out in DC, that would take up that $2,000. So, but I'm not doing that without y'all's blessing, of course. Let's see. Contract services and everything, I did go up because it was already at 24,881, so should be right at 25 by the end of the year. I'm thinking just slightly over that, so it went up to the 27. Inmate medical, I've asked to go up by 50,000 because I just don't anticipate that the jail population is going to shrink anytime soon. I mean, maybe, but I don't
We
think
can,
so.
we can play that, no?
Okay, so the big increase.
850,000, we do not get anything from the state for that.
No, unfortunately, we do not. They tell me that for like ICE detainees and federal detainees that we can get reimbursements for everything, but there's also a ton of paperwork that goes into it. They have to be in our custody for X amount of time, and they rarely are. Usually the ICE detainees, it's like 48 hours and then they're gone. So there's really nothing coming in for anything like that.
We did try to do some investigation of that when I was in the jail, about getting the ICE money. The law was passed, but the funding was never secured.
Yeah.
So
That's shocking.
yeah, so there was a lot of promises with that, but as we looked into it with more detail, there was a lot of strings. And again, we had to detain them for a long period of time. And in general, if they're there just on an ICE hold, they will not be passed. The only ones that we really looked into, or I would like us to continue to, is if we have someone on an ICE hold that receives a great deal of medical attention. Then I think that we should get something from the government as to pay for that, because we're holding them for us. They're not here for our lives. They're here for state.
Right. The next line, actual indigent medical, there is a big jump there. The reason that one is there is because of that big beautiful bill that went through on the federal level that is cutting off a lot of people from Medicaid and then also impacting the rural hospitals. They're taking away a lot of funding from the rural hospitals. So while I can't guarantee how much it's going to impact my world, I anticipate that a lot of the people that are being kicked off Medicaid are going to come try and get on this services and everything. And it's also, since it is taking away funding from the hospitals and everything, they're already in dire straits. They can't take on that extra load. And I don't want the only county hospital that we have to close down just because they're drowning and we couldn't do anything. So I have asked for a large increase there
I
going.
think they're expecting a lot of rural hospitals to close.
Yes. And I can tell you, it's already increased the traffic for my world. Like normally I would say I'd get like 3 applicants a week. I approved 3 in one day the other day, and that's just unheard of. In the 5 years that I've done, I've never approved that many in one single day. So it's not going to get any better for sure.
So you're talking about that $1.2 billion that we get funded.
I'm thinking going up to the 275,000 mark just for the indigent medical, I think would help a lot. I don't know how much it's going to impact completely, but of course, I mean, this is just a guess. I'm hoping that this would be enough to cover everything for the first year at least.
Well, it's not gonna really matter till we find out what the tax is gonna be, because she gets 8%,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's mandated.
Yeah, we set aside the 8%, and then if there's money left over, we've been able to budget back to the other departments,
Yes.
road and bridge.
Yeah.
But probably just means less that you're gonna get.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Bigger, yeah.
So,
We can always make wishes.
Oh, have money.
I did ask for a slight increase on supplies and postage both, just simply because of anticipating more foot traffic and more individuals. That's gonna be prompting me to send out more mailing, use more paper and such, so didn't want to be in the red there at the end of next year, so. Pretty much everything else is just the going rate, that it already was. I didn't increase, I think I increased the phone just slightly. I did, however, ask back there on, there was that new page added in. The proposed additions and deletions. A lot of the stuff that I do involves my personal cell phone. Don't want another cell phone, but I wouldn't mind if we could possibly do a cell phone allowance possibly. Because all the doctors, all the hospitals, the clients themselves, everybody calls my cell phone all the time, and it's all hours of the day and night. So if we could possibly put in a cell phone allowance in there, that would be incredible.
Miss Susan, we do cell phone allowance for some JPs, is that correct? Some.
Senator Precinct and Motion.
So that's not over, right?
But it's not much.
No,
No, it's not.
because it's not supposed to pay your whole.
No, I think I had asked, it ends up being like $50 a month or something is what I was asking for. And that again was just a guess.
And those, huh?
$10.
Oh, okay.
But that's just for the 8 hours they're there,
Mhm.
paying for them.
Yeah.
They're not 24 hours.
Yeah.
Mine is.
I think 50 is reasonable.
All right, any questions for Ms. Cooley?
Sounds
Do you have anything else?
Good
I
job.
think that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vic. And we appreciate your work.
No problem. You guys have a wonderful day.
Yes. Right, Mr. Torres. You ready? Mr. Torres with the elections administration.
So there wasn't really much changed on mine. The biggest addition was there was a quote that was turned in to us from a vendor when we were looking at getting a new check-in system. So I know the biggest question here at the budget session really is if that's something that you gentlemen would like to budget in for the year, or if that's something that we actually want to go out and finance.
Daniel. I'm lost. Hey.
Of course, on the actual budget lines for us, it was just a 3% increase as normal.
Say it again.
I said on our actual budget lines for payroll, it was just a 3% increase as normal, so. Other than that, everything else stayed about the same.
Okay, so. This quote that you received this quote after turning in his budget, hence the reason it wasn't attached or included in his budget at all. This is for 10X election desk macros quote. For the hardware. Printers. Cases, the software and training, shipping, it's $83,725. And can you explain to the commission what that is?
So that is essentially what we use to get all of the voters checked in during our election. You gentlemen know that the check-in system that we've had over the years has been giving us fits throughout the elections. It's pretty much at the end of its shelf life for us. We'll be lucky if we can make it through this November with this equipment, if we can't get this installed sooner than that. I know this was in discussion with previous judge, we were trying to shoot for getting this implemented for this election. Due to the fact that it's a smaller election, so it would make our training easier with our judges if we're working elections. But
The constitutional election.
yes. Basically, this would just make our check-ins, make our elections run so much smoother. because we won't have nearly as many technical issues as we do currently with our check-in. They'll freeze up on us, constantly, they'll freeze up, the tablets freeze up or disconnect or cross between the two, units that are at locations. So somebody's trying to check in on one unit and it's wanting to sign on the tablet on the other side. So that's an issue we've been dealing with, for a good while now. Honestly, getting a new check-in system would help us a lot, on the days of election and early vote. And it would just make our process a lot more easier and streamlined, as far as being able to upload our voting history daily. Currently, the check-in system that we have won't even communicate with our Wi-Fi here, because it is so far out of date. Everything we have here in the building is so much newer than what our check-ins can even communicate with to transfer back and forth all of the data that we need.
Security issues with that?
I don't think it's so much as a security issue as just operational, really.
Okay.
It doesn't make it easy when we have to make sure we have Wi-Fi that's going out to all of our early vote locations so that we can operate. And I mean, 2 of the early vote locations are county buildings where we have Wi-Fi, but we can't utilize it.
Well, all processes that we have needs to be smooth.
I agree 100%. I think this may be, I know I expressed my interest of our reserve and where it's standing right now. And this may be a good use of one-time funds to fix this problem and just.
And if the capital outlay and his,
I believe so. Capital outlay and one-time expense, capital outlay and his, did they include any, did they include any financing terms in here?
No, they didn't.
How much I didn't hear.
$83,725.
Well, I know there's a possible warranty on the back page for an additional 7 or 8, I believe.
Yeah, with $7,500.
Something extra.
There's a warranty off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
I'd rather not pay interest on it if we don't have to. Kind of like to not pay extra. If we're just.
You hear about countywide voting, is this going to allow that or not allow? That's not gonna be, wow.
as far as I know, the system should work as a countywide system if that was the direction that we ended up moving to. I was under the impression that they were trying to do away with countywide
Well,
voting.
I've read about.
We've never
different
even gotten to
things.
that point.
I'm confused on whether they're gonna do it or not.
I know there's a law that's supposed to go into effect where it goes essentially from early vote directly into election day. So there's like no gap in between is what I'm hearing. But as far as the countywide voting, that's something we haven't done. As close as we come to countywide voting is early voting. Where everybody can go to any one of the 3 locations and can check in at any one of the 3. On election day, it's strictly precinct by precinct. So if you're in your precinct, that's where you vote.
What system does this replace?
This would be replacing VOTEC,
OTIP.
the Welcome Voter Kiosk.
So what other systems do we pay annual maintenance on besides the OTIP?
Arts, our active voting system, and I do believe the other would be, actually, my God. The
OTIP, expand
the website for information.
so if countywide voting was approved, would this accommodate that?
That was for what, 50 units? Because we did expand this go around. How many?
No, last year there was a
locations?
problem at some of the vote, like here, it was so backed up, people waiting so long to.
And that
vote.
was because we need more check-ins.
Hmm.
We need more check-ins at those
Yeah.
locations. I do believe they were running 2 after that had happened and that went smoother. But during a primary is when we would probably need more pieces of equipment. We would need at least, I would say in certain locations, up to 3 check-ins for the Republican side. And maybe 1 or 2 for the Democratic side. So that one's one we haven't run into. This past general election, we did send out more than enough check-ins to actually work the locations at the bigger locations that we expected higher turnout,
Mhm.
and that actually worked out in our favor.
Well, that's pretty steep.
So how many voting locations do you have for,
Currently, on election day, there's 13.
so you're dividing these 50 between the 13?
More or less. Giving to like precinct 13 is heavier on election day, so I do believe they had 3 check-ins this last go around in November. And any one of the other ones that we deemed necessary to have multiple check-ins, we actually sent them out. We also made sure they had extra workers to just excuse me, to direct voters on what they needed to be doing or where they needed to be and checking in stuff. So that definitely helped having the extra pieces of equipment, whether or not 50 would cover us during a primary election. I'm not sure. I would think possibly 75 on the safe side with a primary election. This would work if we didn't have to split everything up. I think that would work perfectly. But seeing as that the parties do want to have their own sides operate solo, we would definitely have to have more to mitigate on primary case.
So.
I could reach back out and see if I getting an updated quote for you,
If we're gonna
gentlemen.
do it, I'd prefer to buy what we need.
It's double.
Yeah.
Can you assess that need?
I feel like to get better voter turnout, the less waiting the voter has to do is
Exactly.
probably super.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree.
cause I don't know if it happens, but I would imagine if you sold out.
Right
on
now,
lunch
I
break,
believe
you
we
pull up
only
and-
have a total of 44 check-ins current, and that's not nearly enough, especially if some of them go down.
You have 44 now if they're all operational.
If they're all operational and functional, I mean, we can make it work, but if any of them go down on us at any point in time, that really hurts.
Okay.
I'd rather have
I'm-
an abundant
But I don't
ready
really
to go than not have them.
Right.
Right. So yeah. I would like you to look at 75.
I'll reach out and get a
For
new quote.
75, and then we'll entertain the notion of doing a one-time expense out of capital outlay for this project.
I will reach back out to my contact, Mr. Hagland, and see if I can't get one for you gentlemen by tomorrow at least, at the soonest.
Or even at 60, I mean, 44, you know. 60 would be additional 16.
So there's 13 you say?
Yeah.
Pretty polling place if you. 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Puts it over to the public or something,
They have,
both together,
Yeah.
as much as that's forced.
Right.
I mean, anybody can be checked in on them, but yes, they do want to have their own respective sides to be able to work, so.
And then what, do we get to build a party for that?
I'm not sure on that one. We'd actually
Where's your
just be
question?
on,
What do we get to build a party? There's a per piece of equipment or there's a charge. You know, they're supposed to pay their own cost of running their election, the primaries.
it's to my knowledge that we had never actually charged for the check-in systems. It was only ever just for the voting systems. I don't recall if there is specification on how much we can charge them for check-ins. I honestly don't recall that there is anything that we can charge them. If I,
Can you
Yeah.
check into that?
yeah, I can check into that, for sure. But
If
yeah,
it doesn't pass, it had revenue couldn't be right. I didn't see it.
yeah, because it's only ever really rental and they're only charged $5 per piece of equipment for
Well,
the.
if it just says rental equipment to run the election, I would assume that checking system was included.
I mean, that would
Because
technically
you can't run
be.
your election.
I mean, that would technically be almost when we were providing them a paper copy, we never charged them for a paper copy. That was just part of, because it's actually the voter registration list is what we're providing them that's on the check-in
Off the
system.
tab.
So, yeah, it's still something we have to provide them regardless. It's just we've upgraded to an electronic system now, so. I don't know if there is anything we can charge them on that, but I will look into that.
We can chase rabbits. Anything else on your budget?
No, nothing really was changed out that much. Everything stayed relatively the same. like I said, really the biggest thing was the check-in system that I was trying to get from you gentlemen.
Um, Your contract services shows an increase.
That one was only because we had an unexpected, what was it? A warranty that we had to pay out unexpectedly to get our equipment serviced.
So you're gonna need that again next.
It was just in case something random popped up like that again. Cause that one was just that.
They offer 27,000 that were approved in for court for the Verity.
Mhm.
So is that an annual thing?
That one is in, I do believe.
And what is the Verity?
Heart is very good.
Oh, that hard. So that's 27,000 annually. But then there are funds in the election machine rental, if we get some rentals. That can help cover some of these other costs. Under the election machine rental, let's see what that is.
Yeah, no, anything that we collect for the election machine rental is to go to any maintenance that we can apply that to.
On your, are your trainings in the end of the year,
Which trainings?
any trainings?
Like
You
for
just
us,
haven't-
or
Yeah,
like-
you haven't spent much out of your training. budget.
That one is actually next month.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Usually. That way.
July or
Yeah,
August.
yeah. All right, any other questions for Mr. Torres? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
Marcia. I'm gonna be the district clerk. District clerk,
Saturday, quick.
yeah,
The church.
I did, district clerk,
Church.
district clerk.
District clerk, AKA data analyst for the state of Texas.
It's such a cheap bottle washer.
Listen, woof. Are y'all there?
Yep.
Okay. So. First, the massive portion of the district clerk's budget is for our clerks. Again, we serve as a clerk of the court for 4 courts. Most of my girls are cross-trained and have specialties, so I have a criminal chief and a civil chief. And both are assigned to various things. Of course, they have to function as me when I'm not here, which is fairly rare. In any event, of course, cost of living is always the focus. And so in my budget, I proposed a 4% increase. That's of course going to be at the pleasure of the court, but I wanted to see what the numbers would look like in doing that. I also agree that longevity is our one way to reward folks for their dedication to the county. And to that end, we have a longevity break. It's some kind of hierarchy of things, but I say simplify. And so I proposed a $200 flat rate for a reader of service beginning in year 3. I have a couple of employees that have been here for 19 and 15 years respectively. Both are critical to the success of our operation. And of course, with that longevity comes a higher expense. But I'm also have 3 new ones who are upwardly mobile and doing an amazing job. And so I think when you can't afford them, increases that are sustainable across multiple years on their salary increase, I think this longevity issue is a really great place to address it. I mean, I think it approaches it very conservatively, but it also rewards those who are dedicated to their craft in each of our individual offices. Really great. So with that, that's the massive portion of the district clerk's budget because I employ 8 people. On the downside of the budget, the only thing that's really that I propose changing, training and mileage, as you know. I don't know why it's gotten so expensive, but even our registration fees imposed by our associations are off the radar. So I proposed $1,000 increase to that travel line item. Of course, the district clerk is required by statute to obtain 20 hours of continuing education every year. So to that end, I also send my chiefs, and I'd like to start getting these younger ones to some of the integral training that's necessary. Much of this we can do remote by just staying here. Tyler is offering a lot of remote training where we can sign up for those webinars and do them local. They're expensive, but we don't have to travel, thankfully. And we've taken advantage of several of those, both the IT department, Henry, who's our project manager for Odyssey, has set in on quite a few of those with us. So then to offset that $1,000, I've decreased supplies. We're doing really good on minimizing our supplies. And I'll speak to one issue related to supplies. We generate a ton of paper, and both the county judge, the district judge, and the court law judge are all in agreement that we need to move toward an electronic environment with our case filings. So to that end, there's a lot of configuration stuff we're doing on e-file this year that will help us to that end. Creating queues that'll send these documents directly to the judge as proposed orders and motions, where we don't have to process that until it comes back around with the judge's signature. We're doing that with Judge Arian in our 4D court, and the system works great. He's pretty much completely electronic on the docket. We still make paper files for those just as a precautionary, just because that's kind of how it's been. Those AG cases and family law cases are extraordinarily voluminous and can take up half a shelf. So to that end, I'd like to see this supply line item come down, because much of that is toner and paper, unfortunately. But I think that's a realistic goal in the next couple of years, to get all these courts electronic, where we're not generating paper. The other thing I would note, and I think everyone is feeling this across their budget, is our insurance bonds. And those are statutorily required, so we just have to get them. And I think those are going up by 10%. Outside of that, the records management, preservation, and archive, those budgets, we're billing every case to bring in funds to offset these budgets and records management and preservation. And as you well know, all of our cases are down at the old LEC support services. And Nicole and I share a massive section from sovereignty to modern day disposed are in order. I have a records management clerk that's dedicated to the organization of that facility. But it's also a grim reminder that we can't keep making paper. We're going to run out of space. And I don't think brick and mortar and air conditioning for this stuff is a good plan going forward. Just as our case volume.
You have something in your future plans to digitize all of that?
So technically, statutorily through TSLAC, the archive, the Texas Commission on Records Retention and Archive, all the things. Every record from 1950 back to sovereignty is a permanent record, and we can't destroy the paper copy we have. Everything forward of that, as far as it's digitized, then we can destroy it at will or not make the record at all. If we have an electronic copy, then the paper copy isn't that important.
That's from 1950.
1950 back to sovereignty, which is
You got to keep all that.
have to
But
be
going forward, you can digitize. it.
exactly. And IT's done a great job. They were at conversion in 2017. They were pushing all the records to, help me, what was that?
The software, I can.
On base.
On-base.
Thank you. We should remember it cost a fortune. In any event, when on base was turned off, They pushed all of our records to PDFs, and we have a rudimentary Excel spreadsheet solution that's cumbersome and difficult to maneuver in. So what it's prompted us to do, and that's part of what my records management part-time clerks do, is if there's a case that we don't have in our current modern day case management system, they scan it, the entire case into that and create a historical case so that it doesn't affect our OCU rate. That's been pretty successful, but you can imagine just the volume of cases that, you know, because there's such a gap from 1950 forward where we're supposed to get those electronic to 1993 when able terms started. There's a lot of cases that aren't in there. So Philip was working with another company, Rachel help me. Yeah, Fabio. At first their bid was, I don't know, $20,000 or $30,000 to get all of those on-base cases indexed and into the system. And now they've come up with a bid, it's really like $1,500, which is amazing because I can use the records management budget to address those issues. So that's the nice thing is that all cases that are filed now, you know, going forward, pay for these records management expenses so that the taxpayers don't have to bear those expenses outside of the judiciary, which is really nice. But I think is going forward, you know, the cost of electronics, we're paying, you know, upwards of $200,000 a year in maintenance for our case management system. It's not just case manager, it's also jail manager, attorney manager, everything to be electronic. So if you can get paper gone, that takes a huge expense out of each one of our individual budgets. I mean, electronics and software is not cheap, but there are things we can do to offset the other side of the expense, which I think is
the backlog is for 93.50.
yes, and it's really, you know, over the years they've you know spent records management to send, you know, 1,000 cases out for scanning, 2,000 cases out for scanning. But it's hit or miss. And so, you know, that's part of the challenge. Our records management, our records manager, Mary, she processes between 60 and 80 records requests a day. And you can imagine for those older historical cases, if they're not in our immediate case management system, then it causes for research. And we send the, you know, that's what the part-time deputies do. They're spending an awful lot of time researching historical documents, trying to find them so that we can fulfill records requests. And it's the thing that's trended so much is, you know, the Department of Public Safety charges, I don't know, $10 or $15 for every criminal background record search. So these companies like CrimFacts that are doing criminal background checks for employers, they reach out to each county of clerks, all 254 of us, and ask, because it's cheaper to ask us than it is to ask DPS for criminal history in our local jurisdictions. And that's I mean, I would say 75% of the requests she's getting are for criminal stuff. The Supreme Court hasn't really made a formal ruling on whether or not we can put criminal history out there. Our case portal, you can search criminal history, but documents aren't available. Of course, they want the judgment and sentence. They want to see those documents. So I've always erred on the side of caution. We have a responsibility to protect the privacy of our constituents. So in doing so, we're very guarded about case information that we throw out. While it is public, I just think we have a responsibility because remember in civil and family law, back in the day before we became electronic, attorneys were putting socials, birthdays, account information, VINs, all kinds of things that are confidential. And to this day, attorneys don't meet the mandate and file a redacted and unredacted copy when they e-file. That's just a fact. And it's incumbent upon the courts to enforce the rule. You've got to file both so that when we put, you know, case documents forward facing where people can search them, that those items that are considered confidential are protected. It also speaks to, you know, this notion that there's a limit to what clerks can do. I mean, it's not our responsibility to redact documents. That's incumbent upon the attorneys that are filing the documents to do that. If we had to redact all the documents that were filed in our office, then I would have to hire another army of clerks to just sit and redact. It's insanity.
And you pay for it.
Yeah.
That backlog going.
So are there challenges? Yeah, tons of them. The biggest thing right now that the legislature is focused on through the Office of Court Administration is court performance measures. We did our first 6 months submittal back in November, the annual report. So the judicial calendar runs from September 1st to August 31st. Our next annual submission, which will be 12 months of court performance, will be due November 1st. There's some configuration that has to be done, and I've just circled back around to start that process, and Henry will give us a big hand with that. But court reassigned 6 to the court at law. It's a court jurisdiction change. Office of Court Administration, the legislature wants to know on those reassignments. And so we have to configure our case management to close the case in the district court and then open it in CCF so that they're getting their proper, I'm doing this case and I'm not doing this case anymore. That configuration is time consuming and cumbersome. It takes a lot of testing. So I feel like my month of August will be focused on all of that court performance stuff. It's super important to judges too. The idea is that the legislature wants to see these cases from filing to disposition are moving at the pace that the Supreme Court requires as an administrative rule. That cases aren't just falling by the wayside and not being accounted for. Thankfully, in that first submission, all of our courts are 90% plus on court performance. And the measure says that your case disposition needs to be 90%. So then we have the issue of all of the conversion cases that came over that had no OCA coding in them. So when a case is filed, it gets an OCA event, case open. And if a warrant is issued or a citation is issued, those OCA events put the case inactive because the court can't act until a capias is returned or a citation is returned. And then once those events happen, it turns the case back active again. All of that coding has to be specific on a case in order for it to be reported correctly to OCA. So when we're working through all of those old conversion cases, especially in family law, when a case gets closed and then reopened and closed when there's modifications that are filed, we have to be super aware, are the cases coded correctly with the right OCA events to trigger the correct reporting. And therein lies my challenge as a data analyst. And it's not just me exclusive. I mean, this affects Nicole, it affects all of APs. It's insanity. So that's it with my budget.
Question from Ms.
Any
Stevens?
question? And thank you for letting me scooch in.
Okay.
Good job.
Good one. Do you let it feel this? All right, county clerk, Mr. Henry. Do it.
So the only difference, outside of probably salaries, would be the machine and equipment now. We upgraded our machine this year to a color copier. Because of all that paperwork that you showed us from the way the signature is, the seal is, so those are the things that we have to even out for the attorneys, and we do still make paper copies in probate, but I think that we are probably maybe looking at doing it all electronic. just a comfort zone for me. I am one of those paper people, but I do see the necessity of getting rid of it. We are currently working on the back scanning. So our system now, it used to, when I started, it was 93 forward. And we're currently at 88, 1988, getting that stuff in the computer. And that's just something that we do
Whenever you have to.
whenever we have a chance. Try to do it in-house because the cost is so high. For companies to come in, get our books, scan them, index them. I mean, the project I did a couple of years ago was $50,000 and it only did like 2.5 years.
And you're letting somebody else in your record.
Yes, and then that takes the time that once we get those scanned and indexed, we have to stop what we're doing and verify that they did it correctly, indexed it correctly. So
That's what you
we
say.
can just do it ourselves. I don't know what the best way to do it, but right now we're doing, my part-timer is doing it probate. And so we're trying to get as much of those old cases into our system. So that's what she's doing with it. So that was really, the only other increase that I'm asking is for, my clerk one to be moved to clerk 2. She has been here for 5 years, she's still at a clerking position. But she's currently doing the same thing as my clerk 2 position. I mean, there's nothing that my clerk 2 position is doing over what my 1 is. I do still have a clerk 1 and she still qualifies as a clerk 1, but she's also the one I'm requesting to be moved up to a clerk 2 is my Spanish speaking. It was not addressed in that last salary survey. And I think it needs to be. I mean, she is our link to communicate with Spanish speaking people. She also very graciously goes to other offices and translates. I know she translates a lot for the bailiffs out here. She has to. She was doing weddings for Justin when he was down here. So, I mean, I have given her sheet stats if she wants to do that or not. She has continued to do that, even though she's not getting compensated for it. I know that a few of the bailiffs had requested it last year. Because they know they use her quite often. So that's the other thing. I just think she needs to be compensated, especially since there's other Spanish speaking people that do get compensated for that.
I wonder, getting out over my skis here a little bit, but I wonder if at some point in the not too distant future, there may be an AI solution to the records problem.
Very well could be.
I don't know what that would look like or how it would integrate. Cause I don't know really much about it, but it sure, it could take a load off of you, take a load off of Marshall.
I know we've used Google Translate a lot. When she has been on vacation or whatever, we type it into the translate, it'll help for us.
Not the best, but it can use.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do know that Miss Eubank has some Spanish speaking employees and she's asked them not to translate it anymore. Due to the stop of work with their own office. That they aren't compensated for it. And then they have to stop in the middle of whatever they're doing, in case research and all, and go do the translation and go back.
Yeah, she doesn't go into it. And she.
Well, that's the other thing that you're kind of worried about. You don't want to send somebody that's not a certified legal translator in the courtroom and then.
Yeah, you get some liability issues.
Thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she did it a little bit in the JP's office, but she was very uncomfortable doing that. So I absolutely.
Well, when you get in the legal world, there's a lot of legal language that isn't used in daily conversation in any language, much less a different one than ours, so.
But she does do a lot of translating in our office. I mean. That's probably 40% of her job.
I know the sheriff's office has a Spanish stipend for any officers that, any deputies that speak Spanish.
and office personnel.
Something to think about.
So that's basically it. in a
So
nutshell.
your contract services,
That is not-
you're anticipating,
Not really sure. I just know that with this color copier, it is a little bit more expensive. But we are saving on the back end as far as the toner that we were purchasing for the color copier that we were using, we're not having to buy that anymore. So I'm hoping that it'll wash out. I just put an extra $300 in there. For the overages that I didn't realize it. We were gonna be paying that much for the overages. I mean, I thought we could get it all into but anyway, that's just the anticipation that I see is that putting the close. My special budgets, they're special.
that's the only stuff.
Okay, you're talking about
So I'm
records
gonna,
management,
yes,
2,300. Or 230, I'm sorry, 230 CC records.
Yeah, the operating expenses, 20, contract services, 345. Got $100,000.
Yeah, it's on her tab, it's just the next page.
Yeah, the record.
Alright,
I don't even. Just want to do this. Brian, do it.
We do.
But you got it in your current budget now, right?
What?
The
$100,000.
Yes,
So,
so I just finished the project with upgrading my credit card system. So we were using a third party to do our credit card system.
So those invoices hadn't hit yet.
No, but it's not gonna be 100,000. The next project that I hope to get out of this year's budget is not property fraud. I know it's a growing concern for a lot of the constituents that there's property fraud out there. And there's nothing that we can really do about it. I mean, we have our requirements for reporting, we look for those requirements, if they follow. Those requirements, we have to record it. But there's not a system out there that can tell the public that, or tell us at the time of recording that this is not their property to sell.
it's not legit.
Yeah.
The software that I'm looking at, and it's. A lot of counties are going to this, what it'll do is. If the public signs up for it, it will notify them if something has been recorded in our office under their name.
So it's a third party contract, like a home title lock or something like that.
Tyler does have their own property fraud software, which is who we use as Tyler.
Yeah, I keep getting a text that I own property in Lincoln County and I want to sell it. I said, sure. Send me the money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there's pros and cons to this. I mean, if your name is John Smith.
Yeah.
You get phone calls that this isn't your property, but you just have to kind of do your research on it, but. It's all that's out there to let people know that something is being recorded under your name. You might want to, it doesn't stop it from being recorded, but at least it notifies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we've had a big issue here in Hope County, but
It's coming.
It's what I do.
And so I just wanted to compare.
Yeah.
And so we have had some citizens ask me if we're gonna do it, and I do plan on doing it. I wanna do it in this year's budget. And then the rest of that money is what we use to do the projects with the upgrading and the putting all of the back data into the system.
So your credit card upgrade that you did will eat up how much of that $100,000?
Oh, no,
Huh?
That was a small project. The preservation part,
That's the big,
that's the big one.
okay. And those invoices just hadn't hit this year's budget
Yeah.
yet. So you may or may not have money to roll over into.
Oh, yeah, there will be some of that 100,000.
These funds have a lot of money in them, I don't know on the last receipts and disbursements, but these funds have ample money. She won't be taking any from the general fund. They're solely funded by.
No, I was questioning whether she'd have funds to roll over in next year's
Oh, yeah.
budget. Sounds
Yeah.
like she-
Oh, yeah.
But you can't roll it over.
Well, it just stays in.
Yes, some special funds roll over.
Yeah,
we
The
used to-
court collections that are used can only be used for certain things, they roll over.
That's one of them. Okay.
Yeah,
You
just.
can't move it to the.
Can't move it to the commissioner fund.
Couldn't put it, right, that's where it was going.
Sorry.
2025-7.
That, you know, we used our records management money to fund the project down at the support service, all of that stuff in the table with that. So it's nice to have, but like when we start preserving books, which I've done some, we're talking $45,000 a book. It's so expensive. But those are the books that are permanent, we have to keep
Gotta
them
get those.
forever. I have a lot-
Sovereignty to 50,
That's one, yeah, that's like the paper cases and stuff. My books are permanent forever. I could never get rid of my books. All of those deed record books. Now, we don't print books anymore, so that was a huge savings. Because those books are high dollar.
but
Everything is on the computer now, so. We just can't never get rid of those books. We have a lot of books in the annex center. Now they want us to preserve them so that they will last a lot. And we have a lot that are in need of some.
I can't imagine the sovereignty books.
Well, the ones that were needy,
They're neat.
Yeah.
To look at.
Oh, yeah.
It's super cool, look,
Spent my life doing it.
yeah,
the
so.
ones that were just basing them here, unfortunately are, I don't know that they can be fixed, because I guess. Many years ago, there was a sewage leak. And so we had those actually. Sold, and we never. So,
Vacuum seal,
right,
yeah.
you don't wanna touch them. So I haven't even showed any of those companies, those books here, I'm afraid they would just, But eventually they're gonna need, something's gonna need to be done. We don't have a whole lot of people coming and asking to look at those old books. But they definitely look at the books that are in them. So. Now that the oil and gas thing is kind of. Shifted out of our county, it doesn't as much, but. And we're getting more and more. Open records requests for all of our digitized. They want a full digitized copy of all of the records.
Like the Texas file people and, yeah.
And what they do.
Online record search,
What they do with it is
sell it.
sell it.
You can get it for free.
I mean, and we only have we have to go by the Attorney General and what they tell us that we can sell it for. It's so cheap.
Pennies on the dollar,
I mean,
yeah,
we
that's.
just got one for 35 years of data, and I only could charge him a little over $500.
For the whole 35 years,
Whole thing.
something wrong with that picture.
She was nice about it.
Huh?
She was nice about it.
It takes everything in me to be nice about it, because I just feel like that's.
Your babies.
It is, and we charge people that come in here $1 per copy, but that's paper copy. Some people still want those paper copies. But electronically, we can't charge that much. And we have about 11 accounts where they get everything. I mean, they get uploads every day.
Title companies.
Title companies. Your other nice folks that sell it. For what they wanna charge.
Turn that into revenue generator.
It is, and it probably has affected our, so anyway. And then the other one was, just the other budget is what pays for our software.
Gotcha.
And our
Good job.
parts.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Alright. It's to us, huh? You wanna keep it rolling? Do we need a break? No. Alright. I'll go ahead with mine since. We're on today's, county judge. It's be 11101. No, that's not mine. As far as
No,
this budget, I've asked for nothing to change. And the only thing I did ask to change was the supply line item by $900. I gotta buy a new shredder this year. The one in there was created the same year I was, so we need to get a new one. If the whole courthouse can hear it, but that's the only change. I believe Judge Lewis has done a great job with this budget. It's pretty bare bones. There's nothing. I've got one employee, and then we're gonna address, I guess, salary at some point in this conversation for all employees, so I didn't even fill that out yet. Mostly looking right now at operating expenses. So that's the only change that I made there. The training and mileage, I didn't make a change, even though I'm obviously gonna have to require a lot more training than Judge Lewis really did annually. But we do have a probate training line item, so yeah, and that supplements some of our training, both of ours. So I don't really think I need to change it. I do always send my staff to training. That's been ever since you guys were giving me training funds as a JP. I've always sent my staff to training because they keep me out of trouble. And so probably the majority of that training budget is gonna go to my staff. And then the other will go to my probate training. So all in all, I don't really have much to change. I don't know if we want to go through some of the other general funds now, or we want to wait till later. Do you have a preference, Susan? As far as like the courthouse maintenance and those things,
Mr. Holmes.
are you here to present it?
Big monster mom.
Yeah, I thought you. I don't know.
I can't.
We can go through the courthouse too, or maybe.
Well, that's non-departmental government fund.
Well, that's the one, the courthouse.
Oh, hold on.
That's the one right after Chris's. Where we have courthouse security there. There's one. Okay.
I was looking at non-departmental.
Okay.
I mean, we gotta get through them all.
Sure.
Let's do that. Non-departmental will be tabbed as non-departmental. It's gonna be 105-1103. So. In this budget, are we? Ready? In this budget was the overtime contingencies that we had from last year that we put aside because we knew the sheriff's office was gonna run up some overtime contingencies on us. Obviously, we haven't paid anything out of that yet because we're waiting until the end of the year to do so, or the end of the fiscal year. to do so.
We have moved money out of there. I think we have into the sheriff's budget. I have to look at last year's, but probably that money will just be moved to the departments that have the overtime.
Okay. So that's what I'm proposing is on this budget in this non-departmental to basically zero that out and apply and budget it correctly to the offices that are gonna need for overtime. I do have some the sheriff is doing his due diligence to not rack up overtime as we've seen in the past. And I think we've seen a wide reduction in coming out of the sheriff's office. The only department, the only division within the SO, I think that is routinely running on overtime is gonna be your dispatch. That's because there's not enough of them. And it's not one that you can not have. So, we're gonna try to remedy that as well in this upcoming 11th cycle to where it's not an unforeseen expense, we can budget it correctly. So the overtime contingency was at 169,397. That will be zeroed out in this upcoming budget, and those funds will be applied properly. We have the telemedicine proposed that we're gonna unchange that because I haven't seen a change in that cost. Oh, there is a change. Oh, it is the same. Okay.
I think we should look at canceling that, it's underutilized, costs $2,000 a month.
Do we have two?
No, so Norton F&B was part of our health insurance, of Curative, but they canceled that program, and I knew about that before we even selected Curative. So we had Health MD as a backup because we weren't sure what was going to happen.
Right.
And it's been over about a year that we've had that, so we pulled some history, Health MD's really not utilized that much. I mean, most people just go to the urgent care for walk-ins if they need something.
With our insurance now, and you can walk in for nothing.
I mean, some months we have 5 people who use that service. We pay $10 per employee per month.
What do you guys think?
Keep our current insurance. Do away with it.
Our current insurance? Well, depends.
We can always look at telemedicine again
Right.
in another year,
Yeah.
bring it back.
I think the only difference in that was something if there were part-time employees or if there were people in the family that weren't covered on the insurance, you could still use it, but still, it's very, very underutilized.
If we're not using it, it'd be a different story.
Right.
Some people better.
And we're not in a contract either.
But we can cancel that anytime.
So, and
All right, we'll move down to the next line, purchase professional services. I do not know what that's utilized for, Ms. Sue.
That is, we pay a service fee on we have grant funds called SCAP, State Criminal Assistance Program, I believe that's the. Anyway, justice benefits, they put together the information to file for that grant for us, so we pay them a 20% fee. So that's only about $2,500 or $3,000 of that, our audit comes out of that.
That's what
Our, we have paid some on the, just kind of a placeholder where we've had Mr. Dixon do some things on these, abatement projects, but that usually gets reimbursed. I think Justin put some extra money in there, cause if I was to leave last year, in the current year, we were hoping to provide 6 months of training. Doubling my position for the new person. However, we haven't done that and then it didn't get into my budget. My budget has some issues for the current year, but. Trying to think what else. The audit is our big.
I would imagine the audit.
We also every year have to pay this firm. Danskoff and Markowitz to do we bring it before you, it's our OPEB report that we have to have for our audit. And that's $3,000 to $6,000 a year. And if we have an outside legal expense that we have to pay, it comes out of that as well.
All right. Do you see any other numbers in that operating expense line item that you'd like to address this year?
Well, I think that purchase professional can come down. I can come back to you with a number, I don't know what it should be. The statement of facts, we just had one for $5,000. I would think we probably wanna leave that at the 20,000
All right.
that it was budgeted for this year. It's just, we pay the court reporters, for them to reproduce the record. The the voice record, you know, that's translated to text for these cases, and we've had quite a few appeal cases. Anyway, I think 20,000 would be a good number on that. That loud case was appealed. I'm sure we'll have to have a transcript of that. You know, I don't see that going down.
Right.
The grant expenditure line, that is the main, we don't really budget for our grants because we don't know what we're gonna get usually when the year starts, but this particular amount of the 18,000 is the bond, which is a flow through grant. We get money from the state for AFRIS, it's the victim notification system. And the bills are like 46 or 4,700, the state pays us, so we have a grant revenue line. And then a grant expenditure line of the same. Now, if we get a grant during the year, we're gonna certify the revenue to income and add those expense and certify them to expense, so. This hazard mitigation grant that Tom's working on. I don't know if we'll know the figures for that before the budget's put to bed. If we don't, then we'll certify the revenue we get from the state. We probably need to figure out 25%. I think we're on the hook for 25% of that one. I need to check with Tom. Of the hazard mitigation. I don't recall, seemed like the prior year because we're economically disadvantaged county, they covered more of that, but I believe, and I could be wrong, that we might be on the hook 75% for that grant that we have. So that's something I'll look into on that. The dues and memberships, that's Hot Cog, we paid 7,354 today, those are with tax. They bill us, I know at least $4,000 a year, y'all are billed. And we just pay for it out of that line, then we have Hot Cog, we have a dues. To them, that's about $2,300. That's what else. I don't know. Oh, we pay NACO, we have NACO dues, so. That probably will not go down, so. Probably at least 7,500 on that.
I know we are also, the generator grant that we applied for, we're 25% of that as well.
On the generator?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is Tom doing that one?
You might reach out to Mr. Jackson.
Or Chris?
Sergeant Jackson. Or
Okay. So after the statement of facts, we probably need to put that back to 20. And the grant, we're unsure of. The bonds and insurance. We have our public officials liability. Let's see. I will just see, I forwarded it to your email. If you could print it, it might be easier to get off to my phone, but I have it right. What we had to pay this year. Let's see. Your glasses, you're supposed to use them, but I had to take them off. Okay, this year for non-departmental, the bill was 33,422. So that's our part of the public officials liability, we have, several of them. I don't know if that's the cyber securities probably in that.
No, we just recently talked.
That was just recently renewed, whatever we just renewed. So we're gonna wanna go, and I had told the others, so I would probably go 36,000 to add 10%, because our insurance gonna atrociously this year. Legal notices, I don't, 4,500 is probably fine. You know, that's probably gonna go down a little bit since they're raising the purchasing limit to 100,000 effective September the 1st, so. So you probably could, you know. If just anybody's gain, maybe put it 4,000, you know, it's just unknown. And then the bank charges. Let's see, thank you. Well, look at you, I'm just. On this printout, this is what the insurance that we just paid, that was including our property liability, law enforcement liability, and all of those. The first column is your amount, that the amount that was paid for each budget. It's a 2-page report. Most of the road and bridge is on the second page. So that's what was paid out of the respective departments this year. And then like you can expect an increase or next year. Probably more so on the buildings, because we do have some significant hail damage that I forwarded to Shane. I forgot if it was 750,000 or 950,000, so we're gonna have to think about how we're gonna budget those funds as well for next year. And we had significant hail damage to the vehicles, so you know they're gonna want to repick that money a little bit. So, property insurance, my goodness, for our church, we're considering not even having insurance. It is so expensive. And the buildings are all priced at such a high value, you know. I don't know, insurance is getting expensive. I don't, that's a scary thought, but you gotta figure it out. Bank charges, I'm trying to think on Wells Fargo, we get our credits. When the interest rate is higher, our bank fees cost us less because we get some credit for having the balance. But as the interest rate goes down, our bank service charges will go up.
And probably these are very, very minimal. Miss Susan and I do a really good job of paying our bill very timely to avoid those late fees, because of no money away.
Rachel, that's really. So, I think 2,000. Put something in there for that for sure. Supplies, I'm the thing. What's getting large there? There was a suggestion last year that we add a line for Christmas decorations as to if y'all think some are needed. I think David had suggested that last year. If y'all want that in there, otherwise it comes out of miscellaneous.
Some of that supplies, Susan is all of those, postage machine, and these some of that for supplies, the ready, like we need for tape.
True. Yeah. don't know, we've used $549. Probably should go down to 1,000 or 900. The machine and equipment rental, as Rachel said, that is the postage machine. Here in the basement, the postage is divided up monthly, Rachel, get those figures. The miscellaneous, that is has been used some for the Christmas party, the service awards that are awarded at that time. Think some other things go into that, not too much. Looks like 20,000 is probably an overkill number. And most of that cost, it's looking goodness, the prior years were expensive. I'm not sure what some of those were. I'd say let's go down to $7,500. Because if you have your contingency, as we get into the revenue numbers, we're gonna have something in contingency. I don't know if you're stacking a big number there.
Yes, ma'am.
And then capital outlay. I don't know what you were thinking on that one. I have no idea. I don't know if that, I don't know what could be out on the AgriLife building, if any. New projects we're looking at, what we're purchasing. I don't know if that's you and the commissioners and maybe David. I don't know what all's been looking at.
That's all I do.
I mean,
Well,
the capital outlay might be where we're gonna budget some of the insurance money. It's. I think Judge Lewis mentioned the roof on the courthouse. I don't know if they looked at that at all.
I've got a gentleman that's working with the company. They did this support services building roof. And they're not only the manufacturer of the product they put on it, but they're also the installer. So if we have to sue them, it's only one person. There's one person responsible. There's no blame games on this one. They can't point fingers at the other guy. They have a program where they enter all the roofs in our county that we own. And they tell you, hey, this roof life expectancy is 10 years. We need to start planning this, out. Or hey, we can just repair this roof. It's not a big deal. He's giving me a binder on majority of roofs. I don't think he went to any of y'all's precincts. He went to your precinct. To Judge Tom's. Yeah, he went to the Judge Tom's building because they have water coming in. It's not like a roof. So he's given us kind of a schedule that we can look at. I'll get it. Maybe we can get it together tomorrow for you guys. And it shows kind of the maintenance for the roofs over 15 to 20 year period. So it's not going to be a surprise when we're like, oh, this roof needs to be repaired. We'll have it on our radar. We can budget for it in the upcoming year or whatever. Yeah, we can forecast those expenses instead of all of a sudden needing a whole new roof on this building, which would be unbelievably tough. So I'll get that guy out to us, all of you, get you a copy. Right now, as far as this building, it looks like repairs and option. So that's good news. All right, next is JPL insurance and utilities.
We pay for mowing and we pay for certain, we're supposed to provide the facilities for adult probation, juvenile probation, so we pick up the utility bills. For adult probation, that's the copiers. For juvenile probation, it's mainly mowing, telephone. Something else, I don't know, but anyway, adds up to about $10,000. Cause their utilities is paid through the co-op. I should have asked Tina how she was here.
Appraisals.
Okay, that number I'm sure is too low because I got to look all this.
Explain the line item on it.
Explain the what?
The line item,
The appraisal district bills us for,
not appraisals, the appraisal district.
the appraisals is what the appraisal district bills us for appraising all the property for the county. And it's, we absorb a percentage of their budget. They're supposed to give us a budget every year of what they're gonna be, and so us.
Have we got that? We don't know. We don't know what that is.
No,
So. The appraisal district is supposed to come and present a budget to the court. I have found one in the email form. But there has not been any appraisal district budget presented to this body.
Can we not delete it?
You should be.
so what the public is paying taxes on, and we're paying them for building them.
Yeah, we pay a percentage of their budget, the
Percentage of their-
schools
It ain't
charge it, everybody, the city pays them. Everybody they're doing appraisals for. Countywide gets charged a piece of their budget.
They're charging us for taxing them.
Well. They're charging us for raising all county's properties.
All the county properties,
Right.
in city.
Not just county.
All
the
the property.
all the
county,
property in the county.
all the property.
In city, in family.
Well, that's rich, since we get 30% of the taxes. Or less.
It don't seem right.
They have to.
That's.
They did come to us when they did that addition, you know, they did come to us when they did that, but I don't recall them being here since then.
So, but the way that I understand it, code, they're supposed to present it to the commissioners court. I do have an email that's in the whole county judge email address box. That is their budget. But I don't believe. I believe they should come and present us. So I'll make that request.
We pay them quarterly and all that.
That doesn't seem right. I always seen that, but I didn't know that. I knew it was probably fine, you know. Crazy for taxes. Crazy.
So
The
the only other line items I see after that, have any funds in them are.
The
Court of Appeals, judges line item, and that's a just in case, isn't it?
They bill us for that and we pay it the first thing after the fiscal year, so 2000 looks right.
Okay.
Then contingencies, I mean, we put as much as 500,000, 200,000. It's been a county judge call as to what you think we need to put in here.
Yeah. No.
I think we do have, there is just transfers, okay. These are transfers that we do out, we've been having to transfer funds to jury. It's more every year. As those costs go up, I did. Send out a deal on the court dispute resolution, if there was a way we could utilize those funds. There's also, that's fund 228, there's also fund 226. I guess Nicole and Marshall both collect on those. One is called that language access fund, so y'all were talking about this need for interpreters. And those costs could be possibly paid out of that rather than jury. And then the dispute resolution, I'm not sure what the criteria, if that's mediation, I'm not sure. Since I'm not an attorney, I don't know what this thing could be used for, but I forwarded some information on it.
Okay.
I would say the jury's gonna need at least $350,000. Maybe more. That's a pretty. Given the we added to the road and bridge, if indigent health gives y'all less funds, we'll probably have to fix. This current year, we transferred. To. General road and bridge. Let's see, we've got budgeted. Budgeted 25,000, but it would be pay off with that to see what they budgeted. We haven't transferred all the money from indigent health because their expenses are running higher. This year, out of indigent health, we budgeted 180,000 to general road and bridge, so that plus the 35,000 that's coming out of general. Currently, we have budgeted that 215,000 to general road and bridge. From indigent health, we budgeted 100,000 to funeral funds, and indigent health was going to transfer 1,000 to each of the precincts. I think I've transferred some of the funeral road and bridge money, but I haven't transferred to the precincts and to the county until we get closer to the end of the year to see if those funds are indeed available. Just because
Makes
it
sense.
says that, it's not automatic.
Well, it makes sense to wait till the end of transfer basically.
Well, if we spend all the money on the indigent health, y'all have the money to.
Right.
That's what the priority of the money is for, so. And I don't know what Tina was asking for on juvenile. We did budget 192,500, but if they don't end up needing that money. We haven't been transferring it. If they, if they just end up needing it, we're not transferring it. If they need the money, of course, we'll transfer.
All right. Mr. Holt, you wanna go ahead, or do we need a break?
Let's take a vote.
Yeah, definitely, because do we want a break? Let's take a break and then we can come back.
Okay.
Maybe run through some of the commissioners' budgets. 10-minute break. 10-minute break. We'll be in recess. Break.
Right, no, when I go out for.
Break for lunch.
Yes.